My name is John, and this is part 6 of my life story. Alright, I just want to remind that all these videos are unedited, unscripted, and they are not in chronological order, so I might be going back and forth in time, and I'm hoping for that in the end, if I ever get to the end, it's gonna make some kind of sense. Uh, I am located in Czechia, uh, heart of Europe, at the current moment, and I'm trying to put my story out there because I've spent most of my adult life living illegally in United States, and I've done many different things. I lived at many different places, and one of my latest activities in the United States was trying to succeed in real estate market. So I started flipping houses back in 2010, and my latest project uh, caused me a bunch of problems, and that's what I'm currently talking about. That's where my story is right now. So in my previous videos, I've been talking about all the complications I've been going through while I was renovating this latest house, and I've had some health problems and I ran out of money. But despite all the complications and all the delays, I was able to finish the project. I completed all the works, most of it by myself, even though I was mentioning all kind of help I had during the process. But it was just uh, partial help, here and there, but nothing continuous. All right, I had a bunch of people there, but it was very unreliable help. And after all these people, I actually had to finish a lot of work by myself, and that's what basically delayed this project and build up the expenses and so on. So I was able to finish the house up to all the details. I turned this house into a smart home, including all the smart gadgets that today's market has to offer, like smart switches, smart garage doors, smart thermostats, cameras, and so on. I installed total of 200 LED light bulbs in the house, so there's not a single uh, incandescent or any other light bulb in the house except LEDs. I installed around 400 feet of LED light strips that I installed around all the crown moldings on the first floor and some on the second floor in the hallway. So I turned this old house from 1970 in total luxury mansion, including very modern bathrooms. Like the master bathroom had a freestanding tub and overhead rain shower head, um, oiled bronze faucets, and everything was tuned into gray, light gray, brown, and white tones. Colors, everything beautiful and rustic touches, barn doors, sliding doors, um, hardwood floors. I just turned this old house into beautiful uh, residence. and I put it on market um, in August 2017, and I put it under contract just recently, about 2 weeks ago, and the house is actually still not sold. All right, I'm still waiting for the result for the appraisal, and I'm expecting to have the home inspection next week. So hopefully everything goes well. So after I put it on market and I got rid of that truck, it took me a couple of months to get rid of that old truck, and so after I put it on market, I moved all the stuff, all my tools and personal belongings and everything. I moved everything into a storage unit, and I started focusing on rehabilitation from all the hard work and stress. So I was trying to get as much rest as possible, and I joined. I actually, few months before I finished the house, I was feeling so bad that I actually joined a gym, and I was going. I started going to gym because when I am not working on a project, I usually do lots of sports. I do work out. Right, I'm trying to stay in shape. Even though I already turned 40. I'm 40. I'll be 43 in a couple of months. So I'm still trying to, stay in shape. And but while I'm working on a project, and I'm doing all the manual work, and that's pretty exhausting. So I'm not doing any sports and working at the house on the house at the same time. So before I even finished, I enrolled at the gym, Planet Fitness, and I was trying to go there at least twice or three times a week, just to you know clear my mind, brainwash, whatever, so I don't keep thinking about the work all the time, about that house all the time, just trying to relieve the stress off of me. So I started, trying to get back in working out into my routine, and you know it helps a little bit to relieve the stress. And uh, and uh, I met this girl there. I was, I'm a social person, so I'm trying to talk to people. And one day I met this girl. She was a teacher, about 28 years old, and we started talking. And she actually told me that she was at Prague at a certain time of her life. She was working in Czech in restaurants or something. She was traveling a lot, so she told me she was in Czech Republic in Prague, and we started talking, and I thought kind of that I might be able to go out with her, and so we talked a little bit, but she didn't seem to be really interested in me. She was always working out with this black dude. He was like really tall guy, and bigger, a lot bigger guy, and she was saying that they are buddies, and he was a principal at the school that she was teaching at, and I don't know, they were always working out together, so it was really hard for me just to sneak in and try to talk to her. So that didn't work out. Eventually, I asked her for her number, and she wouldn't give it to me. So she wasn't really interested. But anyway, that's that's not really important. Important for me was to try to kind of get back in shape, and try to get better, because I was feeling so bad and tired, and I was getting dizzy and shit. So I after I sold the house, I continued going to the gym. I bought me a bike, like one of those hybrid bikes, for $300, just basic bike. I wanted to buy. I wanted to actually. I didn't want. I didn't even want to spend $300 for a bike. I just wanted just basic bike from Walmart, but that bike broke, so I ended up returning it back to Walmart, and then I decided to go to one of the local bicycle shops and get a trek bike. So I started riding my bicycle around town, and trying to get back in shape, trying to get some oxygen in me, and relax, and just paddle around the town, and so I don't sit at the house all the time. So while I was living at the house, uh, I was it was already on the market, and I had a few, not a whole lot, just a few showings, just very little showings, and that's mostly because I set the price really high, because I was trying to get paid for all that hard work, and all my losses. I wanted to get paid for all my losses, but I kind of knew that that's not gonna happen, and but I kept the price high anyway, and I was periodically lowering the price, and hoping that somebody would fall in love with that house, and offer me a good deal, but that never happened. Uh, so I was just enjoying the summer. I was going to a local swim club, and just trying to get some tan, and swim, and trying to get rid of my stress and my heart arrhythmia, and I was trying to sleep every night. I watched some movies, and just trying to relax, and I was trying to eat well, and you know and just like that, 3 months passed by, and I didn't have any offers. I wasn't in a hurry with lowering the price, because I still had some cash left, and and then one day I told myself, if nothing's gonna happen by the end of October 2017, I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna uh, try to solve all my illegality issue. Okay, because for many years I was thinking about changing my life situation, because I've lived in the United States illegally for all these years. During all that time, I didn't have any luck with women, so I didn't get married, and I was not able to get legal or anything. And at some point in my life, I just gave up on trying to find a woman who would eventually marry me and help me to get legal, so I can live a normal life. But that never happened, and but I knew at some point in my life I'm gonna have to change that, because I didn't want to be like locked up just in the United States of America, and I couldn't travel anywhere outside that country. So eventually, I wanted to enjoy, my life, and go travel and meet new people, and eventually find me a girlfriend, or a wife, or something like that. Because when I was younger, I never planned on staying a bachelor forever, But that's what I am right now. I feel like I'm gonna be bachelor forever, and I always visualized myself as happy husband, and I always wanted a family, but it never happened for whatever reason. So for many years, I was thinking, about flying or returning back home to Czech Republic, Czechia, and do something about it, like get a some kind of visa, and I got this idea that I might be able to get an investor's visa. I've been doing some research on that for years, like years ago, and I was thinking maybe this time is the time to do it, you know. And I think that because I didn't sell the house quickly, and because I set the price this high, and I couldn't sell the house, I think this is one of the reasons that I finally decided that I'm gonna do it. Because if I sold the house quickly, I would probably never do it because I would still feel comfortable in United States, and I wouldn't have that need to do something about it. So I think that all the bad decisions that I'm making are actually good for something, and and I know I can feel it that everything's gonna end up well, and all of these changes that I'm going through are gonna be good for something. So I wrote it down that maybe I should have done this earlier. I mean, sooner in my life, but I never had that need because I always thought that I'm successful. I mean, I made a successful deals, and I don't need to risk it. I don't need to go here. I mean, it never was any kind of emergency because I was doing well. I had plenty of money. At one point, I had about $350,000 in cash. So I didn't really feel the need to do something about it. Plus, since one point when all the terrorist attacks happened, and I started having real anxiety from flying, and I was really afraid of flying. And I've been thinking about this for many years, and I always thought, I'm never gonna be able to do it. I'm never gonna be able to fly, overseas, across the Atlantic Ocean. Like I was thinking, like I'm never gonna step in the plane. Like I'm never gonna fly anywhere ever again because I was so afraid. But something broke inside of me, and suddenly I got that impulse to just do that, like to change something, and I thought this is the time to do it. So I told myself, if nothing happens by the end of October, I am going to sell my Ford Taurus, and I'm gonna go home to Czechia, and I'm gonna try to apply for investor's visa. Okay, because I wanted to have legitimate business in the United States, so I can grow, so I can expand, so I can do multiple projects, and eventually I wanted to start building new houses, apartment complexes, and all that. I have all these ambitious plans in my head, but right now I am so fucking stuck that this is really frustrating. So it was October 31st, and I didn't have any offer on that house, which was probably good because if I had an offer, I would probably never be here in Czechia. So and I would never try to apply for that visa. So I sold the Ford Taurus. I was driving around town. Whoever gives me the most money, but nobody really wanted to buy it because it had a salvage title. So I actually ended up selling the car back to the place where I bought it from, and they gave me $4,500. So together I had $6,000, and I thought it's gonna be enough money for me to fly to Europe and do whatever I needed to do. Uh, but I didn't want to risk any problems at the airport or whatever. I didn't want to have any record of when I came back from the United States. So I decided to go through Canada. Okay, I was planning this and thinking about it for a very long time, and actually made concrete plans how I cross the border from United States to Canada illegally, of course. Like I'm gonna jump the border like the other illegal immigrants do. Uh, so I did some research online on YouTube and all that, but I couldn't find any good spot until one day I got this idea that I could actually jump that border in south of Vancouver. Okay, between Blaine, Washington State, and Surrey, Canada. Okay, so I found that little spot just between apartment complex and new subdivision in Canada. I mean, the Canadian border is not secured. The only risk, the only trouble that I could get in was if I got caught by a border patrol. Okay, so I made my plans. I sold my car. I made my plans. I moved out of the house. I cleaned up everything, polished, got it ready for the showings, and I planned out everything. I bought a bus ticket. I bought a plane ticket from Vancouver to London, and and I booked Airbnb in Surrey, like very. I booked me a room close to that border, so I can hide like a few blocks, like a couple blocks from the border. I could, just hide there, and nobody will find me. Not no border patrol. See, I had all this planned out, and on the way, I also had to stop at Washington D.C. Czech embassy to get me a temporary passport because first of all, my passport would have already been expired, but I lost it somewhere during moving, so I needed to get a new temporary passport so I can travel, so I can fly on the plane, and I hit the road, man. So I got on the bus, and on a Greyhound bus from Fayetteville to DC. Um, I took a hotel. Actually, first I booked Airbnb, and that guy canceled it, so I was forced to find me another place to stay. So I stayed at a hotel overnight. The next morning, I went to embassy. I think it was like November 2nd, 2017. So I went to embassy and I got that passport, and it was also a funny situation because I asked the consulate if this passport is gonna be valid in Canada, and he was like, "Are you going to Canada?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. I have to risk it. I mean, I don't have other options. I have to." I have to risk it. I mean, I have to do everything possible for me to be able to get that E2 visa. All right. Uh, right now, I know I didn't have to do it. I mean, it would save me about 5 days of travel and probably a little bit of money. And I could just go to New York and just fly, straight from New York home. I didn't have to go through Canada because it didn't make any difference whatsoever at the American embassy in Prague later on. So, but I did it anyway, and I got through, with no problems. I'm still here. I didn't get locked up. I didn't get caught. So he was making fun of me that like I shouldn't do it. And I told him, I have to risk it. So the same day I got that passport. I got on Greyhound, and I traveled for about 4 days with Greyhound across country through Denver, Colorado, and Salt Lake City and up north to Seattle and Portland. Okay, and then I took a local bus from Seattle or Portland. I don't remember. From Portland, I think to Blaine up north, and I got my GoPro camera hooked up, and I was filming all this because I'm probably never gonna do anything like this again, crossing illegally, a border somewhere. I mean, this is totally crazy. And so I was filming everything. So I got everything, all that journey I got on video, and it is online on YouTube. I call. There's a shopping center. It's called Coast Cutters. It's a grocery store. So I went in there. I got me some food and drink, and I refreshed, and I called me an Uber, and Uber came in about 30 minutes, and he drove me to. I told him where to drive me. He drove me to that apartment place, and I got out, and I was to the Uber driver. I was telling like some kind of made up stories, like what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, because of course everybody's curious, and he was also curious why I'm driving, why I'm going over there, and he was asking me about Vancouver and stuff. So so I told him like I got a bunch of friends over there, and we are traveling, and everybody's drunk, and I don't have any ride and stuff like that. I just made up some stuff. So he drove me to the border, and I just got out of the car. It was a Mercedes, older model Mercedes S class, and I got out of the car, and that was it. I just walked to the border. I jumped. There's like a little deeper ditch, so I jumped the ditch, and I was in Canada, and I just walked. And there's like a bike path, or walk sidewalk in between the houses. So I walked, and in a couple of blocks, I was at my Airbnb, and there was a Chinese lady, and she had a Airbnb apartment in the basement. So I went there. I didn't even have to check in or anything. There was a lockbox, so I had a code to the lockbox. I unlocked it, got the key, opened the door, unlocked the door, and that was it. I was in Canada, just like that. Of course, my heart was beating fast, crazy fast, but I made it. At least I know if I ever decide to go back to America, because right now I can't. I'm gonna be talking about it later in my next recording. Uh, so if I ever decide to go back to America, I know my route. I know my path. I know I can get to America anytime I want. All I need to do is just to be aware that there is no border patrol truck passing by, and I can just jump that border back to America and just call me an Uber. This is so funny. Anyway, so I was in Canada. So the next morning, the Chinese lady took me to a bus stop, to a nearest bus stop. She gave me $5 and 60 Canadian cents, 5 Canadian dollars, because I didn't have any Canadian money, and I needed money for the bus. So I asked her if she's got some money, and I gave her $10 in exchange for that. So she gave me some Canadian money, and I got on the bus, got on the train, drove to Vancouver downtown. I was there for, I don't know, maybe half hour. Took some pictures, shot some video, took some selfie, and then I jumped on the train, and back to the airport, Vancouver. YVR, and I flew through Calgary to London. Everything was going smooth at the check-in and the security check. Nobody was asking me anything in Canada. Nobody nobody was giving a shit about my temporary passport. You know, nobody was causing any kind of trouble, complications, nothing. Everything was smooth. So this the same in London. You know, I just explained. You know, I lost. Passport, and you know everything was cool. Nobody was suspecting anything. So in London, I had about 6 hours overlay or something like that. I don't remember. I remember I was there for a long time, so I took a nap, and then I flew from London to Prague, and then I took a bus, subway, and a train. And on November 9th, I was in this town right here that I'm looking at out the window, Havirov, Havirov City, right there. That's Havirov City, and I already arranged me for accommodation, so I already had a place to stay. So about 5 o'clock in the morning on November 9th, I was back home. You know, after 18 years, 13 years straight from 2004. The last time I came to the United States was in 2004, and at that time I was only like three weeks here. So after 14 years, 13 years straight, I was all of a sudden like uh, I can't I don't even realize that, you know, till this day. And it's been 3 months I'm here. Okay, it's been 3 months. So on November 9th 2017, I suddenly appeared uh, home here. And of course it's a huge change. And uh, for the next few days, you know, I was trying to, you know, just comprehend. And basically I'm still trying to get used to it, because it's a huge change. And I'm gonna talk about all that in my next video. So this was part 6 of my life story, and to be continued.